The NEPAD agency's Partnership for African Fisheries focuses on governance reforms from a continental perspective. Our focus is working with regional economic communities, regional fisheries bodies across the African continent to reform fisheries. Now, when we talk of fisheries, obviously, the small-scale fisheries sector plays an important role within the broader fishing industry, or with the broader fishing community. And with regards to small-scale fishes, our aim is to ensure that, first of all, their contribution towards the economy is valued, is known, is calculated. We do this by building the capacity of, for example, staff within the ministries to be able to understand what the value of the resource is. Once we have done this, we are able to use the outcomes as a tool to policymakers so that we can then make a difference at policy level with regards to how small-scale fisheries are treated at high-level within high-level decision-making bodies. The Partnership for African Fisheries believes that without determining the value of the small-scale fisheries resource, or the value that the small-scale fishers can contribute to the country's economies and GDPs, we will not be able to influence and we will not be able to convince high-level policymakers and decision-makers that these fisheries are valuable and that they can and must be managed in a way that their contribution towards the economy can be increased. These guidelines are a very important tool because they enable policymakers, governments, the various member states, regional economic communities, and other global organizations to be able to manage their small-scale fisheries in a coherent and coordinated manner and approach. The guidelines provide certain valuable recommendations. They provide certain valuable lessons from region to region, and if used and customized by the relevant organizations to suit a certain targeted small-scale fishery, they can be very useful in ensuring that we are all developing, first of all, the small-scale fisheries in a manner that can contribute towards food security in the long term, because they enable us to have similar goals, a similar focus, similar objectives, and whatever sort of plans, whether it be action plans, investment plans, or any other plans that we develop using the guidelines, will be focused towards a common purpose.
For ASEAN, fisheries is considered as one of the key priority sector for the countries in Southeast Asia. This is based on in terms of the importance on economic, social, and well-being of people of ASEAN. And when we look at the small-scale fisheries, small-scale fisheries is really important because in terms of number of people involved in the ASEAN regions, as well as the livelihood and well-being that we need to consider. We had already adopted the new resolution and plan of action on ASEAN food security towards 2020, and under this new resolution and plan of action that we consider as the new ASEAN policy framework that we need to implement and accomplish with the commitment of the ASEAN member state. So in line with the issue that addressed under the resolution and plan of action, many common issues of concern addressing livelihood and well-being of the small-scale fisheries. So I think that this global guideline on small-scale fisheries will complement to our resolution and plan of action. And then during the process of implementation, this will be complement, and ASEAN can also work with FAO at the global level to ensure that the livelihood and well-being and contribution of small-scale fisheries to food security and sustainability of fishery will be achieved.
The Secretariat of the Pacific Community is fully committed to help the FAO Fisheries Department with the introduction of the guidelines in the Pacific region. We are going to run a joint workshop in New Caledonia in June, where stakeholders, fisheries administrations and fishers associations will be asked to contribute to the guidelines, to give their thoughts, provide some inputs into the development of the guidelines. And this workshop will be held in New Caledonia in June.
My name is Gabriela Pineda. I come from Central America, representing the Regional Organization for Fisheries and Aquaculture for the 7 countries from Belize to Panama, and recently with the adding of República Dominicana. So we are 8 countries that are inside the organization. The organization is based in El Salvador, and it's belonged to the integrated system of Central America. And the small scale fisheries are really important in all the Caribbean countries of the region, because we have around 135,000 people that works in the inland waters and offshore of the marine areas, and their economies depend on the fisheries of small scale. And in the region, we've been working and sponsor some tools that are also voluntary that will be supported by these guidelines. We have the governance. It has been improving recently. We have approved some voluntary codes last year, the Code of Ethics for Aquaculture and Fisheries, that these tools and which are voluntary would comply and lap with the guidelines that we are discussing this week. And we see with a lot of optimism that the orientations that the guideline will provide for these people in its whole context will help to deal with the management and a better management and improving the economies of small scale in the areas.